I am Mariko Bolford, and this is Uncut News. Before we begin, do you have something you want to leak without revealing your identity? Send us a tip on WhatsApp at telephone number 659-6151. Now for tonight's news. Earlier this week, the National Broadcasting Authority appointed its new board members. This would have been a normal thing, but this is the PPP, it's never normal things with them. First problem I got is with New York-based radio operator Robert Muhammad. In 2011, Muhammad was cited by the Federal Communications Commission for operating his radio station, AM 1620, without a license. The results of the investigation were never published, but despite having committed a media-related offense in America, Big Lip Kwame doesn't see it as a reason to disqualify him for regulating our media industry. Second problem I got with their selections is journalist assaulter Jason Abdullah. Despite having recently spent time in prison for throwing human poop on Freddie Kassoon, Irjog is rewarding Mr. Shittenshai with the Digital Communications Specialist role of the GNPA. If you ask me, this is insane. It's like putting Jeffrey Epstein to lead the Rights of the Child Commission. Nandalal admitted in court this morning that the appointment of Tourism Minister Onesh Waldron Alcock was in breach of the Constitution. The coalition sued the government over Waldron's appointment since she was a US citizen at the time of her swearing in. Something she originally lied about, just so you know. But as the case came up before the Chief Justice this morning, Nandalal quickly admitted that the government was wrong. But it's all good because they've already fixed it by bending the rules even further. They reappointed her as tourism minister with effect from the 1st of December, and she will have to be sworn in again as a minister of parliament the next time the assembly meets. Cause, let's just find a loophole to suit her needs instead of finding some other duly qualified Guyanese, am I right? And in more non-law-related news, after weeks of insisting the 26 detained Haitians were human trafficking victims who were here illegally, yesterday afternoon, the authorities just up and decided to dump the poor folks in front of a hotel in Georgetown. This decision was made just hours after Nandalal disseminated 3 affidavits in support of the state's defense that the Haitians were here illegally and their government was treating them humanely. Nevertheless, the Chief Justice suspended the deportation until the High Court decides on the constitutionality of their detention and deportation, the case for which comes up again December 18th. Now is the time to tell you about Best Buy's car of the day. Currently on sale is this 2014 Toyota Premio with steering controls, TV, navigation stereo, crystal lights, mag rims, fog lamps, and much more. This car is almost brand new and has less than 12,000 kilometers on it. Buy cash for $3.775 million or pay down as low as $760,000 with $74,000 monthly and it's yours. Call or WhatsApp 662-0844 or visit their showrooms at Lot 171 Peter Rose Street, Queenstown or Lot 2 Lamar Street and tell them Rico sent you for this sweet deal. The United States Embassy in Georgetown recently announced that Guyana voted in support of an OAS resolution calling Venezuela's recent national elections fraudulent. No, not our government, not the Foreign Affairs Ministry. The Trumpistani Embassy announced that our country voted yes for democracy, and we had to find out through their Facebook page. This is actually the second time that the government has ever made an official position on anything that is currently going on in Venezuela, actually breaking protocol. But if you're wondering why the nation has suddenly changed its stance, you should probably read a book named Economic Hitman by John Perkins. A couple from London have just been charged for running a scamming circle. They call it a blessing circle, but there ain't no blessing, just a whole lot of scamming. 48-year-old accountant Claire Joseph and 41-year-old bus driver Dwayne Charles, both of Amelia's Ward, Linden, were accused of obtaining $25,000 each from 5 victims under false pretense. They were each released on $40,000 bail and will be back in court January 12, 2021. Opposition MPs Jermaine Figuera and Sherrod Duncan have submitted a bill to the National Assembly to free up the weed. The bill seeks to amend several parts of the Narcotics Act in an effort to remove jail time for possession of small amounts of marijuana. Under the proposed changes, the opposition MPs want trafficking of drugs in relation to marijuana to cover possession of more than 500 grams instead of the current 15 grams. However, this is just the first step. The opposition eventually wants to pass legislation to the House to completely legalize the green stuff. We are now in the height of robbery season. If I were you, I would consider getting security for the home of business. I personally recommend Chef's Security Service. I find that they are the most professional, with well-trained armed or unarmed guards. Get some security this Christmas, people. A search carried out at the New Amsterdam prison on Wednesday morning resulted in the seizure of a number of contraband items, including drugs, phones, and improvised weapons. Among the items seized are 7 cellular phones, 8.5 grams of marijuana, cigarette lighters, and a number of improvised weapons. It's now time for today's Rona Report. Today, the nation recorded 79 new cases. The total number of deaths now stands at 154. There are now 6 persons in the ICU and 684 persons in home isolation. The total number of known cases in the country is now 5,811. So, please, people, wash your hands frequently. Avoid touching your nose and mouth and mask up before you leave the house. When you do leave home, try to avoid enclosed spaces and large crowds, and remember to give 6 feet of space between you and others. Now, let's take a look at news in the region. In Trinidad, officials are investigating a fire at the constituency office of Michelle Benjamin, the Minister of Parliament from Moruga. Benjamin shared the news of the fire via social media around 4 a.m. this morning, saying arson has not yet been ruled out. According to reports, there was also an attempted burglary at the office in October. Benjamin says currently they are trying to salvage what they can and will try to find an alternative location to operate from in the meantime. Check out Cellular Plus and get 50% off this DL3 Pro with a 5.5-inch screen, 32GB storage, and a 5-megapixel camera. Take advantage of this special Christmas offer and get a 30-day Prime Bundle plan with your purchase. Get it now at Cellular Plus for just $12,000. Brazil's Ministry of Health today confirmed the first reinfection case of the Rona in the country. She is a 37-year-old health agent living in Natal, state capital of Rio Grande do Norte. The patient had the disease in June and was cured and then tested positive again October 16th after her first diagnosis. The ministry also said the result underscores the need for people to take the disease seriously. And now for our weird news story of the day. As the pandemic rages on, transportation officials around the world have been looking for ways to keep passengers and crews safe on board planes. Well, China is apparently taking it to the extreme when it comes to keeping their flight attendants safe. The Civil Aviation Administration of China released new guidelines for the country's airline industry. The guidelines contain advice about the best hygiene practices to carry out on aircraft and in airports. And one suggestion they have for flight attendants and pilots to avoid catching the Rona is to wear adult diapers so they don't have to use the bathroom on the airplanes. This is in addition to basically wearing hospital-grade protective equipment. While such advice may seem dramatic, it should be noted that in August of this year, a woman traveling from Italy to South Korea contracted the Rona, and the only time she ever took off a mask was when she went to the party to take a leak. Moving on to our Uncut News Viewers Poll question of the day. Every day we pose a question about current events in Guyana, the region, the diaspora, and how you feel it relates to us. So, you give your responses in the comments, and we just might read the best ones in the following episode. Yesterday's question was, how do you feel about the wave of luxury that has hit Guyana? Is this a sign of things to come? Or is this a sign of things to come? Ramlal Singh said, it's definitely a mass influx of inequalities. Why would you show your wallet to the bandits? Crocodile Nut said, we're a long way from being Dubai, and we should be careful what we wish for. Behind the glitz and glamour of Dubai life is often hidden economy of poorly paid migrant labor with very little freedom and no recourse to employment justice in that kingdom. Scary stuff indeed, and unfortunately that already exists here, so you know it'll be crazy once the oil gets here even further. Desu Harry says, it's time Guyana wakes up and welcome the blessings and wealth and put more energy and security into tourism. Oil and Sheol. She likes that. And Andre Little says, I want some of the luxury because I'm suffering my whole life. Aha, I see. So before we get to tonight's question, brighten up the holiday season and decorate your homes with new stock of inlay, carpet, rubber tap, leather, glassware, doilies, table plastic, rugs, and roll runner easy to clean carpet. Available in many colors, patterns, and designs to choose from. Beat the rush and enjoy the glorious days of shopping at Ravina's and Anand's. Ravina's and Anand's have unbeatable prices. For fast and comfortable shopping, visit them at Ravina's on 17A Water Street or Anand at 108 Regent Street, or call them on telephone number 225-6595. So for tonight's question, I want to know, how do you feel about the GNPA appointment? Do you think someone better suited for the job should have been selected, or should Mohammed and Abdullah be given a chance? Think about that question and tell us in the comments below. If your response is good, we just might feature it in Friday's episode. But I won't lie, I probably might judge you based off of how you answered to this one. Anyway, that's all the time we have for tonight. Check us out tomorrow for another episode. Until then, I'm Noriko Bulford saying good night, folks. Hey, Uncut News viewers, thanks for watching. You can subscribe by clicking on this button over here, or click over there for more news. You can also drop a comment to let me know if you've made it to the end of the video. Goodbye for now.